Assignment 2, Research in Neuroscience, Kathleen Levina Cromwell, Department of Education, Grand Canyon University, Tech 520-0500, Dr. Laura Schaefer Metcalf, February 2nd, 2022. After this presentation, peers will be able to describe how the brain organizes information. Peers will be able to understand 3 of the latest neuroscience findings. Peers will be able to connect learning and brain development. Peers will have 2 strategies to apply the latest research in their own room. The brain organizes and reorganizes information through the activation of the Big Five, Jensen and McConaughey, 2020. The first one is context. Memories and learning begin with where we are, how we're feeling, and who surrounds us. In order to learn, a student must feel safe, cared for, and that they are important to your classroom in a social sense. More than that, they must be physically comfortable as well. They cannot learn if they're freezing in stale air with their bellies growling. It also means checking in with them emotionally. How are they feeling? Your own cheerful demeanor can go quite a ways in fostering well-being amongst your students. Number 2, triggers. Triggers are stimuli that get us thinking. They can be externally or internally triggered. When a student connects the dots in their mind, it's an internal aha moment. If your room is cozy and smells like mint, it stimulates the brain. There are triggers all around and within us. We have to be careful to access just the positive ones. Numbers 3 and 4 work together. It's the processes within the systems that work together. The first part of it is that there's a trigger that kicks out an electrical charge that runs from the neuron to the axon. Then the message goes from the synapses to dendrites, which travels to the next cell body, and so forth. Jensen and McConaughey, 2020. Some of the systems that you'll see are sympathetic, digestive, immune, nervous, central nervous, and many more. Number 5 are the structures. There are a myriad of structures that are engaged as the trigger activates several processes within our brain. Some of these structures are the prefrontal cortex, the hippocampus, the hypothalamus, and many, many more. The brain is extremely complex, and we need to keep in mind that everything that enters the mind does so in several ways, all at the same time. The latest research shows that diet plays a huge role in neuroplasticity within our brain. A diet rich in fruits, vegetables, proteins, omega-3 fatty acids, etc., can increase our reasoning and understanding abilities. We are also less irritable, moody, and depressed when we have a steadily healthy diet. However, eating a diet rich in sugars, including fast carbs, have been shown to slow down cognitive function and increase the chance of Alzheimer's. Physical activity is absolutely essential to a healthy brain. Neurogenesis is greatly benefited by 20 minutes of sustained, high-intensity workout every day. That is when the brain is best able to create new brain cells. Jensen and McConaughey, 2020. That being said, recess and PE classes are essential to a student's well-being. Also, teenagers are undergoing many changes in their bodies. One of the strange things is that they don't produce melatonin until very late at night. Therefore, it's hard for them to get to sleep. According to the National Sleep Foundation, the sleep requirement for teenagers is between 8 to 10 hours per night. That indicates that the earliest healthy wake-up time for teens should not be before 7 a.m. Wallstrom, 2019. Beginning school after elementary students would benefit the higher grade levels by allowing them to get that extra sleep that they need. Smarter school day lineup. The way that we organize student schedules is key to their success as well. Younger students are able to focus best when they first get to school, while older students are more awake and capable after their first class. The solution could be to have math and reading in the morning for little ones and PE, art, and music first thing for older students. There are many factors that influence the brain's ability to function, grow, and develop. Many of these are environmental. The authors of Brain-Based Learning, Teaching the Way Students Really Learn, found that it is both nature and nurture, not one or the other. Things such as air quality, neighborhood safety, and congenital disease are out of our control. However, improving the situation does show improvement in the brain. Other things, such as what we eat, when we go to bed, how much exercise we get, are within our control as we mature. We've already seen how important these are to our brain. Then there are experiences in social culture, such as strong social connections and feeling safe within a classroom. It releases oxytocin, which makes you feel safe and content while increasing the ability to reason, think, and get it. Whereas feeling persecuted or alone has a devastating effect as cortisol is released. This can make students feel anxious and have difficulty concentrating. Creating a classroom that is safe and trustworthy is essential to learning. Everyone has the capacity to learn thanks to neuroplasticity in our brains. Neuroplasticity, in short, is the brain's ability to change based on both external and internal factors. Jensen and McConkey, 2020. As teachers, we can speed this process up by creating lessons that are relevant to our students, clearly coherent, and that we consolidate. Relevance is the key to getting our students' brains to buy into the lesson and decide that it is something important that it wants to keep and not discard. In the first week of classes, I pass out a personal inventory to every student. I find out what they prefer to read, what they do in their free time, what music they like, what interests them, and so forth. Then I use that information to guide the topics and reading that we do as a class. It helps students want to succeed because it matters to them. Next, I'll remember that students' brains require revisiting the topic for 8 to 12 weeks to build permanent pathways in the brain. Jensen and McConkey, 2020. The lessons need to be fashioned so that they access prior knowledge from their lives, previous lessons, and clear instruction. Over the course of the unit, this repetition tells the brain that it's important information. That in turn has the brain create new neural pathways. Finally, the unit must be coherent. Lessons that are too busy and go different directions do not become memories. Repeated stimuli with breaks built in is the most effective way to teach. People can only pay attention for their age in minutes. So, like a child that's 12 can pay attention for up to 12 minutes. Adults can pay attention up to 20 minutes. So, if my class is full of 16 to 18-year-olds, I've got about 15 minutes before they can't hear anymore. Taking them through a deep breathing exercise or a brain break allows what we've been talking about to be sorted and stored by their brain. Feedback is vital to the brain. Otherwise, you're forming memories that have not been error corrected. The brain likes the PQP method because it offers the immediate correction the brain craves. It's feedback on what was good, what could be explored a little more, and what needs clarification. Students listen to or read one another's writing. Then they offer 2 things that they really liked about the paper, which is their praise. Then they ask a question about something that wasn't clear or they wanted to hear more about, a question. And finally, they offer advice on one thing they would change and how they might do so if it was their paper, polish. This is something that offers the brain immediate feedback that is useful. It also gives the writer something to revisit and rewrite. Research shows that we forget things that have not been sufficiently revisited. When the brain doesn't use something, it prunes and discards it. That means we have to give our students plenty of ways to use their new knowledge. Exit tickets are an immediate way for a student to recall something they learned in today's class. It gives the teacher data on how many got it or if she needs to reteach tomorrow. Other ways to allow students to practice are practice tests, pair shares where they talk to a peer about what they've learned. Learning stations are a class favorite. It offers practice in a multitude of ways to review what was learned during the week. Stations for learning to write an essay could have a citation station where students practice writing citations correctly. It could be a write-along. Students add 2 to 3 lines to an essay that other students have been writing. The next day, you pass out the essay and practice PQP on it, or other editing techniques. You can also have them locate good research with a partner. Providing meaningful, directed practice allows the brain to digest and create the pathways that create memories they can access at will. Thank you for taking the time to go through my PowerPoint. Have a wonderful evening.